This is the ABQ Business Podcast
with your host, Jason Rigby.
Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit
That's in every entrepreneur.
discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems,
And the problems we can all solve together.
for a new future for local small business.
Guys, we are at it, back again. I'm super excited. We're on the second part of the 4 Disciplines of Execution. If you have not read that book, if you have not gone to Amazon and purchased it, it will change your life. It's called the 4 Disciplines of Execution. A lot of people call it like the 4DX. And I kind of want to give you this second part to this. I don't know how many parts I'm going to do this. I want to make sure I get through the whole book with you guys. So that's what's really important with me. The 4 Disciplines of Execution, it's very simple. It's a proven formula for executing on priorities in the midst of all the shit that's going on, the huge whirlwind that you have. And so this is what it is. You focus on the wildly important. Number 2, you act on lead measures. Number 3, you keep a compelling scoreboard. And number 4, you create a cadence of accountabilities. And with that, as a leader, you're going to have tremendous breakthrough in your organization. I've been noticing this personally since I started using this with my team. It has been amazing. It's not a theory. It's a set of practices that they put in the book. That's what I like about it. How many leadership books, how many execution books, how many books have we read on business, and it's all theory. This is extremely practical. It is a way for you to achieve superb results in exactly what you want to accomplish in your organization. And it helps you narrow down that to the point where you can't help but not be successful. This is revolutionary to me. And I want you guys to know that in this ability to be able to execute is what's going to set you apart from your competition. A lot of places do busy work, but they're not executing at the highest level possible. And that is where we're going to see this change. That is where you're going to see your organization make it a change. When you have people executing at a high level and in a positive way, where you're not forcing something, they're holding each other accountable. Just imagine what could happen at your business. It is amazing. So we're going to learn the 4 disciplines of execution and what they are and why they work. And we got into that in part 1. Like, I encourage you to listen to that. You can scroll back in the podcast. It's a few back. And this is part 2. So we're going to jump right in. But we're going to see how to execute strategic priorities and get results, how to affect change in human behavior to achieve your goals. And then lastly, how to install the 4 disciplines of execution in your team and organization. And that's going to be a great one. But you need to understand it first before you skip to how to install it. Because that's one of the things I did. I went to the back of the book and I started reading, thinking that would be practical and all the theory was in the beginning. Did not work. I did not understand what they were talking about. You have to take the time to go through everything. The whole book's practical from the very first page all the way through. You're not going to have an issue with that. Also, there's a large megachurch pastor in Atlanta named Andy Stanley, and he has a leadership podcast. It's a great podcast, guys. It's not very spiritual. If you're secular, you can still listen to it. It's a lot of leadership principles. Doesn't do a lot of church stuff in it. But he interviewed the author of this, and it's a great podcast. I think he did 2 parts to it, where he talked about implementing in his organization. And you're really, really, really going to like those podcasts. So just type in like Andy Stanley leadership, and you'll see the 4 disciplines of execution. I think there's a part 1 and a part 2. So the real problem that we have with execution, and the book talks about this, is that you have to change the behavior of people. And in that behavior, it has to have lasting change. And that is probably the biggest leadership challenge that's out there. You can motivate people, and they could be motivated for a day or a week or maybe even a month. But to get this to consistently have goals being met and then working past those goals and having people want to come to work and want to be motivated, that is the hardest part, I think, of leadership. To drive your team to have this level of significance is two things that the book talks about. Number one is stroke of the pen strategies, are those that you execute just by ordering or authorizing them to be done. Number two, behavioral change strategies are very different stroke of the pen strategies. You can't just order them to happen because executing them requires getting people, often a lot of people, to do something different. Stroke of the pen, executive order, done, it's law. You must do this, it's law. Behavioral change strategies, which mostly what we're dealing with at work, good luck, business owner, if you try to submit a business executive order and you pass that around. These memos and, from the desk of CEO, people don't read that stuff. They may skim through it, but that's all ego. That's not going to work, guys. It's not going to work in your organization. You sending out that email, I guarantee you 10% of your staff read it. And if the ones that did read it were like, oh, okay, he's on this tangent. Next, okay, let me get back to work. Sending emails out is the most ineffective way that you can do what you need to do to implement change. Now, if you want to send emails out with a video on it and then have people training in groups and then turn around and make the video 10 minutes and then the group talks about it and they go through and talk about what you said in the video, now you can send an email out like that. And I encourage you, if you don't mind getting behind a camera, send video emails out if you're going to send something to your whole organization. It helps tremendously. People will actually watch it, believe it or not. You could put it on your YouTube channel if it's not too private. You can even make it private on YouTube and then just give them the special link. There's lots of ways you can do it. There's programs on that with BombBomb and these other programs that are inexpensive to send videos out. Very, very simple to do. As a leader, you own responsibility for the system. And so, and like I said, I'm skimming through the book and giving you guys kind of a summary on it. Excuse me. As a leader, you own responsibility for the system. The causes of weak execution include clarity of the objective, a lack of commitment, and accountability. Let me say this again. Clarity of the objective, because you have them doing 100 things, and they're doing 100 things not well at all because they're just putting out fires. Number two, a lack of commitment. They know they're trading their time for money, and so it's 9 to 5, and this is what I do because I don't have any clarity in my life at work. All I know is I'm coming in and I'm going to be stressed for 8 hours. And then accountability. There's no accountability to hold people, not to their work, but to hold people to their purpose, to hold people to their ideas. When you get together and you guys come up with amazing ideas how to further the organization. And then from there, guess what happens? When they come up with the idea and the team comes up with the idea and they agree on it, then they take ownership. Now it is your responsibility, once they take ownership of it, it is your responsibility to hold them accountable. And we're going to get into that too. That's why I'm saying this book is so amazing. So the whirlwind, and we talked about this before, is everything, all the daily supposedly urgent activities that go on, your business day to day. And one of the things that they talk about that's extremely important is to understand leaders seldom differentiate between the whirlwind and strategic goals because both are necessary to the survival of the organization. But they're clearly different. And one is more important than the other because one competes with time, resources, and energy and attention. And the other one can go on the back burner and sit there because those fires that are out there seem to be more important than the clear objective that you've set. And we'll get into how to do that too. They talk about the 4 disciplines of execution are designed for managing your whirlwind. The 4 disciplines are rules for executing your most critical strategy in the midst of your whirlwind. So this is to bring calm in the storm. I can remember the story in the Bible where Jesus walked down on water and everybody in the boat was freaking out and they didn't know what to do. And they thought, that everything was going to, they were going to capsize and everything like that. And then they saw Jesus walking on the water, which is an unbelievable story in itself. And then they turn around and they're like crying out to him, like, help us, help us. And then he speaks. And next thing you know, everything goes calm and quiet. And then he tells them that they have little faith. We can get so caught up in the whirlwind and get so caught up in the here and now, get so caught up in what is happening in that exact moment and day to day and the problems and the pressures of your business, or you can focus on the vision And that's where that supernatural power comes from. That's when you can calm the storms. That's when you become a leader. When you look at the people that are struggling in the boat and you say, let's calm this down and let us work together, not look at the whirlwind, not look at the storm. Let's look at the bigger purpose. Let's look at the vision. Let's see how we can execute. And like I said, we'll get into that. Discipline number 1 is to focus on the wildly important. The more you try to do, the less you actually accomplish. Write a to-do list of 100 tasks today and see how many you do. Write a to-do list of 3 of your most important tasks today and see what happens. Discipline number 2, act on the lead measures. This is the discipline of leverage. It's based on the simple principle that all actions are not created equal. And leverage is so important, guys. Think about it. When you can have 10 people doing the thing that you used to do, but your ego can't let go, whenever you're doing this for no damn reason. You're doing this stupid task that you could pay somebody 10, 12 bucks an hour to do, but you've done it for 10, 15 years. And so you think that it's only you can do it right. Why don't you take the time to coach somebody and train somebody and pay them $10 an hour and then turn around, let them grow in your organization, become a leader, and then they can train somebody else. Next thing you know, in 3 to 5 years, you've got 10 people and you're growing 10x. Do you see what I'm saying? Leverage is so important. So we're going to get into discipline 2, that act on lead measures. But discipline 3 is keep a compelling scoreboard. People play differently when they're keeping score. And he talks about this, and it's so amazing. I want you guys to think about this. Just stop and think about this. What if you were playing a basketball game, girls volleyball, soccer, whatever it may be? What if you're playing a game and they took the scoreboard away? How much fun would it be to play the game? Well, why are you doing that with your employees? Why did you take the scoreboard away? There's no motivation. I don't know how many times when I played basketball in high school, I looked up at that scoreboard. And when it was close, I was looking all the freaking time. And when I won, I knew I won because I looked at the scoreboard. You've got to have a scoreboard, guys, at your work. If you're a leader, if you're a manager, if you lead one person or 1,000 people, you better have some scoreboards. And you better know what you're scoring on, and you better have one thing that you're scoring on. Play one game, guys. Don't have 50 scoreboards. There's no significance in that. What if you had a scoreboard of fouls and you had a scoreboard of how many times people traveled and you had a scoreboard? Yeah, they keep track of those things. But at the end of the day, it's the score of the game, period. How many buckets did you shoot in? That's all that matters. How you get there, as long as you're playing in the rules, I don't care. But at the end of the day, it's how many buckets did you get in. Keep a compelling scoreboard. People play differently when they keep score. That's number 3. Number 4, create a cadence of accountability. Unless we consistently hold each other accountable, the gold naturally disintegrates. Do you always wonder why after 21 days you can't, like January 1st, and you go to the gym and then you last 2 weeks and you're done? There's no accountability in that. What if that was all over your social media when it showed that you were actually at a gym? What if social media, every time you snuck through a McDonald's drive-through, it would alert everybody on social media? And then everybody was supposed to tell you how horrific that food was and why did you do that to yourself? If you knew that was going to happen, if you knew your phone would alert everyone on your social media status that you were going to the drive-through, how many times did you go through there? It would be a lot less, wouldn't it? Because that's accountability, guys. You have to create a cadence of accountability. Unless we consistently hold each other accountable, the gold naturally disintegrates. Think about that. And the book talks about this extensively. Is the 4 disciplines work because they are based on principles, not practices. Practices are situational, subjective, and always evolving. Principles are timeless and self-evident, and they apply everywhere. Guys, you focus on the principles. Always do that. The principles of execution have always been focus, leverage engagement, and accountability. Now you've got to find a way to implement them. And that's what's so great about this. I kind of want to review the 4 disciplines of execution. I kind of review discipline 1, focus on the wildly important. In case you guys decide to go ahead and still listen to this one and you didn't go back to the other one, then we'll do kind of a quick review on this one. Wildly important goals, or they call them WIGs, are the goals you must achieve with total excellence beyond the circling priorities of your day-to-day. You've got to make the hard choices that separate what is wildly important, then what is important? What's the most important thing for you? I was talking with somebody the other day and they're like, signups are the most important thing. I need email addresses. I need signups. I have an online company and that's what I need. Okay, then why aren't you offering ebooks? Why aren't you having pop-ups that come up on your website that are willing to give away something of great value? If that's the number one thing, find out how you can create something of value for free, a video series, whatever it may be. Why do you have an online store and you're selling a few products and then you're hoping to get their email through that without hitting them directly and having good CTAs or good call to actions on your website? If you want phone numbers and appointments, your website better be all about that. And there's a way to not be spammy and do that. I'm telling you guys, you have to focus on what is wildly important. And they say at the max, one or two, no more than two. I like to get it down to one. Sometimes I'll focus on one positive and one negative. Like what I found is, what do you love about your work? And we talked about this a few podcasts ago. What do you love about your work? And then they tell me what they love about their work. And then how can I make that better? How can I make that consistent? How can we have that day in and day out? And then number two, the things that you hate about your work, how can we eliminate those things or create a better atmosphere in that? And then I spend all my time on those two wildly important goals. And that's just for the culture of the organization. Now I can turn around and say, how many sales do I need? How many signups do I need? Whatever it may be. You have to understand, you've got to get clear on the goal. You've got to be able to aim at that one target. And that if you have this high-performing whirlwind and this day-to-day that's crazy, at the end, you're going to have a super strong foundation because everybody is clearly focused on one thing. They talk about wig traps, 2 wig traps. And I love what they say is that, and we are business owners, we know this, we are our very own worst enemy. As leaders, I beat myself up every day because I'm like, why did I act that way? Why wasn't I more patient? Why didn't I take the time to use this as a coaching moment? Why did I focus on the email when I should have been looking in their eyes and talking to them? I can make that list go on and on. That was just today. That was some situations I had a few hours ago. The great challenge when you start narrowing down is that you have to say no to some really good things. To have greatness, you have to say no to good things. Success is going to require your team to change their behavior, and they simply cannot change that many behaviors at once, no matter how bad you want them to. So if you list 10 things that makes the company successful, those are 10 behavioral changes. Do you guys get this? You can't do that. Have them focus on one. If you want to execute right, you have to have them focus on one behavioral change. And I know we want everybody to change, in doing this and doing that and showing up early and coming in late. Maybe showing up on time is not as important as when you're here that you execute. Maybe you can make that a cultural value. We don't mind if you're within a 30-minute realm. We're going to monitor it to make sure you're not taking advantage of it. If I tell you to come in at 8:30 and occasionally you come in at 8:45, we're not going to say anything. If we see a pattern of that and you're clocking in at 8:46 and you're taking advantage of us with the freedom that we give you, then we can have a conversation over that. But in the meantime, we want to give the ability that if you are running a little late at work, we want you to be able to calmly drive to work. Because maybe being on time is not important. Maybe it is, because maybe you have scheduled people that come walking in the door exactly at 8:30 and you want these people prepped and ready to go to be able to talk to clients. Okay, that's a difference. Do you see what I'm saying? But if you focus on all of them, like, why are you late? Don't be late. Why are you late to your lunch, and why'd you clock out early, and blah, 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 blah. Maybe that's not important. Maybe you're making that important because you're trying to control them with your ego. But I'm telling you something. You will have happy employees if you focus them on one thing. I don't care if you're 10, 15 minutes late, as long as you're not abusing it. But here's what I want you to do. When you come in, I don't want anybody on their phones, on Facebook. I don't want anybody watching movies or Netflix secretly or putting headphones in and listening to, TV shows and stuff like that. I don't mind you listening to a little bit of music or whatever if that helps you. and you're listening to that, but I do not want you listening to anything that's going to distract you from work. Because when we're here, we're focused because we're respecting not only our own time and what we want to accomplish with our goal, our one goal, our two goals, but at the end of the day, we want you to be fulfilled. And that fulfillment is you accomplishing what you need to accomplish in your unique gifts and abilities. And that's being not only respectful to yourself, it's being respectful of the company that is trading your time for money. That's a great conversation that you can have, guys. And it just refocuses people and puts them into a dynamic of saying, okay, that's this one thing. They're really, like respect is the number one thing for Jason. That's what he wants. He wants to have everybody respecting each other, respecting leadership, respecting the ability for who they are as a person. So respect is a big deal. Okay, well, we can focus on respect. Okay, 2 wig traps. Rule number 1, no team focuses on more than 2 wigs at the same time. So you're going to take your finest effort on 2 goals and you're going to make that the entire focus. Not dozens of goals. You're going to have 1 or 2 goals for each team. You guys know the law of diminishing returns. It's as real as the law of gravity. We're wired to do one thing and to do it with excellence. Have you ever seen somebody with total focus and total concentration? It's amazing what humans can do. That's how we're wired. One thing. Keep it the one thing, guys. Number 2, the battles you choose must win the war. Yeah, we could do all these things, but are they going to actually win the war? What is the desired outcome? Are you winning the war, or are you just winning a little battle here and there? Are you taking all this energy into winning this battle that really means nothing? That vendor that you wanted to shame because they embarrassed you at some party that you went to, and so you're taking all this effort and you're using employees to try to leverage him, to shame him. Is it really worth that? Really? Really? And then you're going to drag other people into your narcissism? This egotistical battle? Guys, what's important? And especially your lower level employees, and I hate to use that word lower level, but as we look at tiers from CEO on down, especially your lower level employees, that's where you need to be extremely clear with them. Senior leaders need to exercise their right to veto if the battle chosen are not going to win the war. You've got to give them that responsibility. If you have a manager, you tell them, here is what we need to accomplish this year. Here is our number 1 focus goal. This is all we're going to focus on. Yeah, we can fight some battles, but is that battle going to move us towards this goal in a clear and concise manner? If it's not, I don't want to do it. Number 4, all wigs must have a finish line in the form of from X to Y by when. This is what holds people accountable. A wig is a tactical goal. Oh, sorry, guys. A wig is a tactical goal with a limited time frame that balances the need to create a compelling vision with the need to create an achievable goal. It's in that moment where you meld your vision with a goal. One vision, one goal. How do we get there from X to Y? You don't need to come up with that. You sit in a room together and you guys create this as a mastermind. You guys create this together. How are we going to accomplish it, and when are we going to do this by? Discipline number 2. Let's get in this. Act on the lead measures. Lag versus lead measures. We all look at lag measures. Lag measures are how many did we sell last month? How many appointments did we have with Botox treatment? How many, how many chiropractor visits did we get in this month? This last month. Those are lag. The second tip is to apply disproportionate energy to the activities that drive your lead measures. While a lag measure tells you if you achieve the goal, a lead measure tells you if you are likely to achieve the goal. So how can we take all our energy and putting them into, if you know you need 5 to 7 appointments a day for you to be extremely productive, then that's your goal for the day. Okay, guys, what have we done? Have we gone on the phone? Have we added the existing? Do I need to send an email blast off for appointments? Do we need to text some customers? What do we need to do to bring appointments in? What is it? That's our focus today. 5 to 7 appointments. Let's go, guys. Maybe you need to hire somebody. That's all they do. is they're sitting in an office in the back and creating appointments, and you make a job description on them as a business development or whatever it may be, and they're just contacting old customers, and that's all they're doing. Because that one person that you hire, if they're setting 5 appointments a day, next thing you know, you've created 150 appointments, 120 to 150 appointments a month. And that's what your main goal was to focus on. See how it works? It's very simple that way. Discipline 2 is the discipline of leverage. This act on the lead measures. Lead measures are the measures of the activities most connected to achieving the goal. Discipline 2 requires you to define the daily or weekly measures, the achievement of which will lead to the goal. Then each day or week, your team identifies the most important actions that will drive those lead measures. In Discipline 2, you create lead measures, the movement of which will become the driving force for achieving the WIG. Understanding lead measures will be one of the most important takeaways you'll receive from 4DX. These 2 qualities that make a good lead measures are this: predictive and influential. Achieve these 2 lead measures at the level specified, and you will see your lag measure move. Predictive, influential. Now, lead measures can be counterintuitive, they talk about in the book. If you focus solely on the lag measure and it fails to drive results, then what you're going to have is the data that you're getting is not going to really make a difference. But if you can look at data and you're getting concise data, and you can turn around and say, I had Susan on the phones, and she was on the phones for 4 hours and didn't set an appointment. Okay, well, appointments are my main goal. Then what's going on here? She didn't log them into our customer relations management system. There's no appointments in there, so I need to have a conversation with Susan. Okay, Susan, let me ask you. I know you're on the phones today. I know you're being really productive. I saw you busy. You're on the phones. Why do you think that you did not accomplish your goal today? Well, what do you mean? Well, we asked that you have, you set 5 to 7 appointments a day. And, I saw you busy. You were at least 4 hours on the phone, constant, and you didn't set any appointments. Oh, well, I did. I have them on my notepad. I didn't put them in to the customer relations management system. I'm so sorry. I like to keep track of them separately on a notepad. Well, I get my data, Susan, from the customer relations management system. That's what helps me with my reports. That's what keeps the organization organized. So it's just not you. It's a lot of other factors that are coming into play, knowing where we're going to be at, how many people are coming in. And I'm really appreciative of you working hard today. Those 4 hours that I saw you on the phone was amazing. Every time I would walk by, I would see you on the phone. That's really great. But if you could take the time, maybe go 3 hours and 45 minutes on the phone, and then take 15 minutes right before you get ready to leave, and just make sure in that 15 minutes that you put everybody in the CRM, put the notes in there, and make sure that we have those appointments set up so we know what's happening for the week. And I know it'll help everybody in the organization. Is that something you could do, Susan? Oh, okay, perfect. You see what I'm saying? When you focus on one thing and you're constantly looking at the lead measures. Now, you could wait to the whole month and look back and say, Susan didn't hardly set any appointments. I looked in the CRM and got my monthly report. And when in actuality, these people have been coming in the door and you didn't even know it. She could actually be just setting tons of appointments, and all she was doing was writing them in a notebook. But she was actually a really productive employee, and you're getting ready to fire her because she's not setting in appointments. Maybe you have her doing that and then somebody else taking all the credit for those appointments coming in and putting them in their name. There's all kinds of stuff that can go on if you don't follow daily lead measures. I'm telling you guys, start following lead measures for your one main goal, your one main WIG. You're going to see the giant, they talk about this, you're going to see a giant rock being moved. The energy that your team must focus on has to be this one thing that you put out there. Lead measures act like lever, making it possible to move the big rock. That lever, you guys have seen that before, and you got the little seesaw, and then you put a big rock on one end, and then you extend out that lever really long, and it's really easy to move the rock when you have leverage. So that lag measure and the lead measure is the lever, the lag measure is that big rock, because that's what's going to happen no matter what. At the end of the month, you're either going to be successful or unsuccessful. As a manager, when you go to look at that sales report at the end of the month, guess what? You have an option. You either done bad or you done good. Well, if you knew daily what was going on and the data was good that was coming in, and you're like, well, the data is really bad. Well, you need to fix that. You're going to have to take the time to fix that. You're going to have those conversations and coach them to make sure the data is coming in right. And then you're going to have to hold people accountable. Tracking lead measure data. One of the most challenging aspects of lead measure is simply getting the data because it requires extra effort above and beyond that of the lag measure data. Without data, you can't drive performance on the lead measures. Without lead measures, you don't have leverage. You've got to make sure you have accurate data, guys. I think what's really cool too is to get your Google Analytics set up. Have somebody teach you how to do it. There's reports that you can get that shows you how many people are on your websites, how often they're looking on your websites. It's very, very simple, guys. All this data coming in, getting reports, you can even have it where it sets up reports. If you're running Facebook ads, look at those. You may not look at them daily, but at least look at them. Get those reports. They come in and they're automated. At least look at them once a week. It'll tell you you're 30% down in traffic. Well, why are we 30% down on our traffic? We're also 30% down on our appointments. Well, that's interesting. Maybe I need a little boost of traffic. So let me take a little bit of marketing money and shift in the direction of some Instagram ads so that I can get some more appointments to my salon or whatever it may be. Tracking lead measure data, not only that, but lead measures and engagement. The two most common obstacles encountered when trying to achieve the WIG is employees don't know how to have success in achieving WIGs. And number two, they don't think they can. When identifying lead measures, a team will discuss possibilities and normally land on what they think will make the most influence in achieving their WIG. Coming up with the right lead measures is really about helping everyone see themselves as a strategic business partners, engaging them in a dialogue. You've got to be the coach and take the time to make people believe that they can. They can, if they're disciplined and focused, they can achieve this WIG. They can do it. But it's your responsibility as a leader to figure out the how and to work with them and you guys together create the how. The how is important. We could talk about theory and the why all we want. But at the end of the day, if I want to execute, I got to know the how. I want to know, how are we going to do this daily? How are we going to hold each other accountable? How are we going to measure this? And how, as a leader, have you ever asked the question to your team, how would you like to meet a lead as a leader? Let's be honest. Let's get some Chick-fil-A, have some lunch. Let's move in that direction and let's get a whiteboard out and let's say, hey, how do you guys like when I lead? When I'm in this type of mood, what do you guys like? And let's be honest. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Seriously. Let's all talk about this. You can do this with your managers. It works really good. Let them tell you. They're going to give you a lot of great insight about yourself and the way that they like you. I had somebody tell me the other day, I like it when you're really focused and sometimes you're stern. And I'm like, really? I like to joke around and have fun. I mean, that's kind of what I've always wanted to do. Tell jokes, have fun. It's always, you want to have, but some people like that where you're like, okay, here we go. Let's do this. We're going to get this done. This is how we're going to do it. Let's move in this direction. Let's go. This is the battle we're fighting. Some people like that. It brings clarity and focus to them. And there's a time and place for that. But ask your team that. Employees don't know how to have success in achieving WIGs, and they don't think they can. And I'm going to end in this, guys. I've gone 30 minutes. We went through Discipline 1 and Discipline 2. And we're going to go, the next podcast, we're going to go in Discipline 3 and Discipline 4, or I may just stay on Discipline 3. I don't know. I love this book. It's so incredible. I know I'm not doing it justice, so buy the book. Listen to it on Audible if you like listening to books while you're on the treadmill or on the bike or whatever. But I encourage you, get this book. You're going to love it. Of course, I'm a small little fry in Albuquerque and a small podcast, so they're not paying me anything for that. I just want to provide a ton of value to you guys. I want to help you guys out. Also want to thank our partners. If you haven't signed up for Total.co, I encourage you to do that. If you would like to get paid for your data, you're on social media and you're on all these websites anyways. Why not get paid for that? You can go to Tartle.co. We also want to thank 99.9 The Beat FM. It's a not-for-profit local minority station that helps artists. Not only do they help local artists, which is awesome, but they play 80s, 90s hip-hop music. It's super clean. Put it in your business. Put it in your showrooms. If you got tanning salon, whatever it may be, put it on 99.9 The Beat FM. You're going to love the music that's coming out of there. Like I said, you're not going to hear anything inappropriate. Just a lot of fun. We all love 80s and 90s. It's a great mix, great blend of those. So I want you to help that. And then also thank you for Quality Mazda. I had all different types of vehicles before. I've had BMWs. The list goes on and on. But the best vehicle that I've ever had was a Mazda. And I drive a Mazda CX-5 now. Absolutely love it. For the money, and how nice they are inside. They're comparing Mazdas, the little hatchback Mazda, they're comparing it to the Audi and the Volvo. And it's about $15,000 cheaper, guys. So if you haven't looked at a Mazda, they're Japanese made, amazing vehicles. You're going to love them. I like the way they drive. They're real sporty. I love the audio system in it. It's very simplistic design. That's what they're coming out from, that Japanese tradition that they have. They even have like Jinba Itai and all these words. It's really awesome to get to the history of that. But if you're looking for a new vehicle, if you want to lease a vehicle, look at a Mazda and go to Quality Mazda. It is locally owned since 1957. The Lorenzo family has owned it. So I want to thank them. Also want to thank the ABQ Live magazine. If you haven't picked that up anywhere you're at, whether you're at any brewery, a bar, restaurant, where you can see the ABQ Live magazines that are there, grab one. If you would like to advertise in it, please get a hold of me and I will get a hold of them. I would love to be able to make an introduction. If you want to do digital marketing, you can get a hold of me, and I work with a lot of different organizations when I do marketing consulting. If it's something that you're looking at, it's not as expensive as you guys think. I'm telling you. You can get into stuff for as little as $500 a month and be running ads online. It's not expensive to do digital marketing here in Albuquerque because there's not a lot of people doing it. So now is the time, I'm telling you guys, and now is the time to hop on the bandwagon while you're getting it cheap and the ROI is amazing, is the time to do it. I vet a lot of people. I have a lot of different organizations I work with. Would love to be able to put you in touch, have a meeting. I can come with you, have a meeting with them. I can ask them the questions. If you're doing marketing now and you want me to kind of review and go over what you're doing, very inexpensive, I'll do that. I do not mind doing that. Just DM me and we can go over it together. Usually takes me about an hour and a half. I ask you some questions, and then if you don't mind, I'd like to go over what you're spending your money now on marketing, and then maybe making some tweaks, slowly increasing to digital if you're doing traditional media, and then going into that realm. Very, very simple to do. So you can email me if you go to abqpodcast.com. It's jason@abqpodcast.com. You can also DM me on Instagram or Twitter or any of those. I'm on all line at ABQ Jason Rigby. That's ABQ Jason Rigby. Thanks, guys. Have an amazing week. I hope you execute. Get this book. You're going to love it.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast.
And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com.
Make sure to subscribe and share, and go to abqpodcast.com.
Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur
and business owner.